Be completely honest. Am I the only person who wouldn't want to have sex with somebody that I was stranded on a desert island with? They've got no soap and they're basically washing in the sea. Now, I love cheese as much as anybody, but salty knob cheese is a no from me. Stranded on Honeymoon Island, Australia, episode 4, and it's intimacy week. How are they getting away with this? At this point, it is literally a rip-off of Maths, only not as dramatic. In this episode, the couples receive a crate. It's got some sex items in it, some wine, massage oil, and some questions for them to get to know each other intimately. Amy and Mike, they're not there. They're barely getting on. But Amy decides we're going to have some fun with this. She ties him up. Well, she puts a blindfold on him and she asks him to compliment her, and every time he gives her a compliment, she gives him a drink of wine. I like that the two of them are trying to bond. They're trying to make the most of the experience. Are they ever going to get together? I would die of shock if they did. I know that this guy comes across as a complete dick. I genuinely don't think he means it. I genuinely don't think that he hates women. He's just not very good with his words. And as I've mentioned before, anybody who says they're an alpha, get to fuck. But at least they're making the most of it and they're trying to not be miserable. After Couples Cove in the last episode, where Tom had told Emily that he had a girlfriend and then he confessed that that wasn't true and he was just trying to avoid being more intimate with her and getting closer to her. And for whatever reason, she decided to give him a chance and say, well, are you willing to work on this? She's the one who's saying that she's always going with men who lie to her. Maybe that's because she lets them away with it constantly. This was a massive lie, if it was a lie. At this point, we don't even know. They got their crate, and again, they decided they're not on the right level. They don't want to give each other massages and stuff like that. But they were asking each other questions, and he says, you can ask me anything. And she says, oh, would you kiss me? And he says, would you want to kiss me? And then they ended up kissing. He is a liar. He can't be trusted. He's a wee shitebag. He talks about ghosting people all the time. He wonders why his ex cheated on him. And she says, oh, I'm quite forgiving. You can be too forgiving. If you have to spend only 3 weeks with somebody on an island, and in the first couple of days you lie to them about having a girlfriend and saying, I'm just here for the experience, you can't be trusted. You might as well just go home. After Couples Cove, Sam and Jess are not having the best time. When they were there talking to the other couples, they were talking about if they had a good sleep or not, and she was talking about the storm, and she says, oh, he punched me in the face. Now, she was obviously talking about them being in bed and being under the covers and him hitting her in the face, and he totally took it to heart. He's like, that's not funny, you can't say things like that, like, a bit too defensive. And she said, no, we were talking about, like, when we were trying to sleep in the storm, and he says, no, I wasn't there for that conversation. It literally flashed back to him being in the middle of the conversation. So he's obviously got a selective memory. Aye, okay, saying that somebody punched you in the face might not be funny, but it was the context of the conversation, and I just don't understand why he took it so personally. So he ended up storming off, and she thought that he was away. I don't know how she thought that he got off the island without her seeing the boat, but who knows. They were asking each other questions from the intimacy crate, and one of them was, how many sexual partners have you had? And he said, over 100. Well, I was flabbergasted. I'm not going to go more into that, but I was flabbergasted. So then she said, oh, I'm like the same, and there's a stigma against women who have slept with so many men. And he says, oh, nobody should be judged for how many people they've went with. Now, she is a dating coach, and she's been single for 5 years. And as I said before, how can you take advice from somebody, a relationship coach, who doesn't ever have a relationship? Aye, okay, she manages to sleep with a lot of people, but when it comes to relationships, how can you take her advice? It doesn't make any sense. When he finally showed back up, he says, oh, I've been taking time meditating, and I've obviously been slipping back into my old ways, because I think he had some anger problems when his ex split up with him and his dad died, and he was going through something, and he's saying, obviously, like, I need to take a step back, listen to you more, and she's saying, oh, you need to be more gentle with me. So hopefully they're getting on a bit better now. Brie and Brian started off quite well. For the wedding, it looked great. Then when she was on the island for the first night, she turned into a pure weirdo, didn't want to talk to him. And after Couples Cove, he says that she gave him the ick because she had the audacity to speak her mind and to confront somebody about saying they had a girlfriend. God forbid a woman open her mouth. God forbid a woman defend another woman. God forbid a woman be opinionated. I went right off him. So she says to him, oh, I don't feel like you had my back. And he didn't have her back. He didn't have to say anything. He could have just kept his mouth shut. But instead he was like, oh, let's not attack him, blah, blah, blah. Weak as fuck. Couldn't be bothered with him. So when they were doing the intimacy challenge, again, they were just asking each other's questions. And she was saying to him, oh, have you ever thought about me, like, sexually? And he says, oh, I don't really know when I've had the chance. So she was raging and she was getting ready to go home. But then she says, this always happens in a relationship, like the slightest thing goes wrong and I want to run away. But I can't run away because I'm on an island. So things are a bit rocky between they two. Danny and Emmanuel are getting on fine. At the start, he couldn't remember who she was, but as time's gone on, he's like, oh, I can see we've got a lot of similarities and all that. When they got the crate, she was like, oh, I kind of want to back off a bit because he is so my type. She fancies the pants off him. But she says, I don't really want to get too close to you because I feel like in the real world I wouldn't approach you because you're too hot. She's obviously looking at him. He's blowing her fucking mind. And he is so nice and he's like, there's more to you than just your looks. At first I was a bit worried, right, because he was saying you're smart, like things like that I find attractive. You're smart, you've got good conversation and all this stuff. And I thought, God, is he not even going to mention anything about her looks whatsoever? And then he says, and you're smoking, right? So that was nice. At least he mentioned something about her looks. But she's obviously got some severe confidence issues. But the two of them, actually, they're going good. Then we have Georgia and Chad. When they were at Couples Cove, Amy asked if anybody had banged. And they were looking around and they were saying, oh, I don't think anybody looks as if they've banged. And they two were laughing and they're like, oh, like we've been intimate, but like I don't think they'd actually banged at that point. But I don't mean to be that person, and I am not prudish whatsoever, right? But they're on an island for 3 weeks. They've got no soap. When they had the chance to take something when they went to Couples Cove, I think they took tea and coffee. They didn't take body wash. They're washing in the sea. The sea is not clean. It's hot. They're sweaty. They don't have any clean underwear, no clean clothes, nothing. At what point would you look at somebody and go, oh, I bet of that? I would maybe be thinking, oh, I bet of that. Wait until we went home, had a good scrub down. Surely it can't just be me. This is a bit off topic, but like kind of the same. I watched a film years ago and there was like some sort of nuclear war or something and these people were stuck in a bunker for months and they were starving. They were stinking. They were like disgustingly bogging, right? And then one of the women has sex with one of the men and I'm like, what? No, I'm sorry. That's got yeast infection written all over it. Not to mention the fact she'd been down there for months and she hadn't been taking the pill or anything, so I didn't get it. I follow Amy on TikTok and she was talking about this experience in a video that I seen the day, and she was saying that they had food, but it was like basic rations, so they had rice, pasta, lentils, and they had to cook it themselves. But then when they went to Couples Cove, they get a proper meal, and she says they didn't have any condiments or anything, but they were boiling the food in seawater to make it salty. I don't think that's safe. As somebody who literally cannot eat food without salt, I don't even know if I could do that. The stuff that's in the sea, it's not right. But I don't know. I just don't know. But let me know if you're watching Stranded on Honeymoon Island. I think we've only got 2 episodes left. But let me know what you think, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.